Good morning, Tasty Nation. We are live. It's Forex Focus. It's Wednesday morning.
How are you?
Pretty good. I'm Glenn Freiberger.
You're the champion.
Thank you.
We have a monthly competition. It's kind of a fun thing we do at the office. We call the Go to War Greatest of All Time. And my friend Glenn here was elected by his peers.
Thank you.
Greatest of all time.
It's an honor. Also, James out there on the production team.
Yes, that's right.
Won as well. And I don't know about him, but I'm trying to go back-to-back. There's never been a back-to-back GOAT.
You know what? It's great because everybody can vote and everything, and I just keep putting my not Frank votes in.
And it's working.
And it seems like it's working.
Yeah, that's good.
Or anyone but Frank.
Yeah. I think I took a fair amount of those.
And everybody gets we've all come up, each division's come up with clever kind of trophies or things. We actually, to Mr. Caberna's credit, because he's running this, and we kid, we have and I think next time we do the show, you'll...
yeah, I guess I got to wear it. It's a boxing robe that is...
with the tastyfx logo on it.
Semi-silk. It's nice. I actually wear it in the office now. It's a nice throw on when it gets cold.
And we need to start thinking about what we put into the tastyfx store as we go into launching tastyfx on Tasty Trade.
This is true.
This is going to be exciting.
And one of the other teams has one of those wrestling belts. I like that one a lot. So maybe, can you win different ones? Maybe I'll try and go for full sweep.
Yeah, I'm sure Kevin would be open to that answer. So
I know, great competition. It worked. I'm going to work harder. So that's the real point, right?
There you go. Poor guy's in here at 6 in the morning doing knocking out everything in here till 6 at 9. It really is. We got the whole Bob Cratchit thing with the candle and everything. It's tough.
It's nice, yeah. You have a lot of fans, me being one of them. You wake up much earlier than this, and by this time you're flying. You say you have coffee. I've never seen you drink it. Your morning coffee ritual is what, 4 o'clock? You have it intravenous now?
I have a 3:15 cup and then a 5 o'clock cup when I leave the house. It's not. Again, I know it's not my choice. I wake up without an alarm, without anything, between 3:01 and 3:08.
That's really good. You know what's really annoying?
It's really bizarre.
The past 2 times I've been on the show, I've woken up naturally 10 minutes before my alarm, and I am so mad.
Oh, well, and our friend Frank is he says, you are now pulling me into your dark side, and I don't want to live this life of getting up at 4 in the morning and then falling asleep at 8 at night.
I think he likes it.
Don't let him talk. Yeah, it works for me. But although I did sleep through most of the State of the Union address, which was a little problematic because I had positions on it. Oh my God, what did he say? Did he say something? And I looked at it. It's like most things didn't move. I was like, okay, yeah, it was relatively constrained.
Yeah, was it short? Because I also
it was the second longest in history. It was 100 minutes. You knew it was going to be long.
Well, I didn't know. Well, I knew it would be long with the amount of clapping every 30 seconds.
Right.
I watched the beginning. Who got kicked out?
Somebody got kicked out. A congressman got kicked out for something about don't cut Medicaid.
Or was it pointing the cane?
I didn't.
Are you not allowed to point the cane?
Maybe that was it.
The king?
I know they had paddles or something, and it's funny because I was listening to somebody who said, because some Democrats chose not to even go, and that's one route. I don't quite know, and it's like you don't win trying to heckle someone from the cheap sheets. Whatever you think of Donald Trump, that is one of his sports and skills. He's great at that, and he's got the microphone, the bully pulpit. You're never going to win that battle of trying to rattle the
Al Green.
Oh, is that who it was? Yeah. There you go.
Ejected.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I guess a lot was said, but not a lot that.
Not a lot controversial that we didn't expect.
I guess selfishly, for me, we all have our feelings and beliefs, but I don't know. It's just what I've done for the 42 years. I'm looking at it, okay, what does it say and how does it affect the things I trade? And net, there wasn't a ton.
Wait, so you're telling me that half the room chanting USA, USA, USA didn't correlate to any dollar strength?
Did not. If you were short euro, you weren't feeling the joy of the strong dollars chant at that point.
There was no USA, USA.
No, and we talked about that. Supposedly, the Commerce Secretary is supposed to come on air at 7 o'clock this morning to talk about they were only kidding or we're going to split the tariffs. I don't know how this becomes. You know,
it's falling. It's unraveling.
Yeah, what is it going to take for me to put you in this Honda today? Kind of conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm very used car salesman. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the market feels it's very interesting because you watch U.S. equities and they were actually higher most of last night a little bit. They bounced pretty good off of the sell-off into the end of the day,
which was quite a sell-off.
It was, and they've softened up this morning, but. Just watching them, equities, obviously, the cash equities markets aren't open. So this is one of the great things with FX. Although you'll see FX more liquid at certain times during the day than other times. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when they only really place quoting is New Zealand. I'm not picking on the Kiwi guys. I love Kiwi, but the markets are a little bit thinner.
Right.
Where you get into London and the U.S., the markets are much richer. When I say richer, they're deeper. There's more participants, and you see that liquidity play through. But watching U.S. equities this morning, they are very, very thin in terms of nobody quite knows they're living.
Right.
Okay, what happens if they do cut the tariffs? If they don't cut the tariffs, yada yada yada. The whole tariff thing, and it's interesting. I was talking with somebody yesterday, and I don't know who trading equities yesterday. If they were active all day long, how they couldn't have gotten tagged on one of those moves.
Right.
And he made a great point because you got these massive rips, 60 handles up in this move, 60 handles down, in the matter of the closing range and then right after the close.
Yeah.
And several times during the day. It's hard to always be right, but where we're seeing some really momentum build is where we're going to be talking about today, which is let's go over to the FX world and take a look at the euro, which by far is, we actually saw.
Yeah, if we could open the platform, pull that up. We've got the real-time euro-dollar chart for you. Uh-oh.
That's the euro balancing right on its support level. I like that.
A beautiful picture, though.
But we saw a day yesterday where we plumbed we looked at 104 very briefly. The market kind of got a bid out of the woods while nothing else did. And it was interesting because this was a rally that was kind of independent of equities up, equities down. Canada up, Canada down, Aussie up, Aussie down. It had nothing to do with it. Just the bid was there. We had a couple of small pullbacks during the day. And guys, we're working to bring that up right now. Just give us 1 sec. But it was interesting to see the unrelenting. And we talk about when does market structure change. We closed at well above 106, which we know has been an inflection point for us. And we closed within 5 pips of the high of the range. That shows you when you talk about, okay, is this the rally to sell? Now, if you want to be a contrarian selling a 140 pip rally, we know that's 2+ standard deviations right now.
It should work sometimes.
Should work. And this is where the 5% bid
bad.
Because we continued to, and guys, we're working on it, they're working on it. We can
go to the slides too if that's easier, guys.
Yeah, if the slides are easier, that's great too. But we continued to march all the way. We posted a high today of 107.20.
Yeah.
Which again we're getting back to, and I know I probably over-reference this, but the 200-day moving average, which is kind of an old school FX tool, is 107.40. So usually kind of an inflection point where the markets will, longer term players tend to use that as a level of momentum. So,
and thinking about, you brought up the timing with liquidity. interesting overnight because you saw that high print right near the London Open.
Right.
And that's always when you have London, more liquidity coming in, but it's also, in
It's
Europe.
not like, let's bring this in line. It's like we got business to do.
Exactly. And so then we saw a high, saw a pullback, and now we're right back to near those highs above 107.
And you make a great point. So we traded up to 107, right around 107.20, all the way back down to 106.80. 40-point range is probably going back looking 90 days is our normal day. So it gave you a scalp. Contra trending moves like this, you've got to be realistic. You've got to, even if you took a little bit of a beating being short here under 106 and you got stubborn and say you covered at 106.70 or 80, yeah, that was a painful loss. But if you're going to still lean on the short side here, is there opportunity? There is, but you've got to be mindful as to what you're going to look in this market. And moves like this tend to, I'm going to sell this, and they're going to give back 100, 150 pips. Now, can they? Sure. I mean, what's changed? I mean, Germany has been very bold, and they're like, if we're going to go this alone, we're basically changing the way.
Yeah.
The government was very constrained as to how they can spend and what they can spend on. And the idea of a rearmed, fortified Germany was thought to be
Not the best.
not a desirable solution.
Right.
But if the structure of relationships changed across the globe, they're taking a proactive stance. And I think the market looks at this and they say, well, that's an awful lot of stimulant going
Right.
into an economy that has had challenges around its work getting its unemployment levels at better spots. This is just a huge kind of injection of, as steroids is so pejorative, but if they follow through on these spending plans and it's an aggressive thing to do, you got to think that that's going to have a real knock-on effect to, what is driving this euro? Lots of different things. Short covering at this point, absolutely. Longer-term strategic shorts have been put to the test
Right.
and have been challenged. And the fact that the get-out spaces have been 30 pip pullbacks haven't given you a lot of choices. So, but from a macro standpoint, that's what's changing. And now we're in a new price level. So the first thing I do is you've got to take whatever that one standard deviation is, you've got to give yourself more elasticity.
Right.
I mean, we're already up almost 77 pips right now, and we're kind of getting back towards the highs, but not quite there yet. So we're twice the standard move already. So you would think, well, what do I do with that? Now the question is, and this is where the mechanics become a little hard. Well, Pete, you and Frank and Glenn have talked to me that 2 standard deviations, 95% confidence, we're there. I should be short. If you're going day to day, yeah.
I was going to say, when does that reset?
This
when
is
we
what
have
makes
this
that
kind
statement. And I think some people are like, well, it's your curve fitting in it. And we're not. What I'm being is practical about when does that reset? When you choose to reset it. So am I mindful that we've already gone a lot today? Yes, but we're coming into the session with no material pullbacks. My inclination as a trader is that I'm giving myself more elasticity if I want to be a contrarian. I'm also, we've got a new range. It's 106.10 up to wherever they stop today, and we don't know where that is yet. I'm willing to play both sides of this market.
And
so
what I'm curious, because you talk a lot about price levels and how important it is to be kind of set your expectations with price levels irrespective of time and how fast things are moving. When you wake up to a move like this, and you say you have an opinion, you want to get engaged in this market, how does timing affect when you see this price was better than the one yesterday, I'm in, or are you waiting for some sort of momentum or some sort of maybe waiting for the U.S. Open? Is there any sort of timing there?
great question. again, when I woke up, they were a little bit lower, 106.70, 80, which still, if you looked at it in a vacuum, that was a nice, a rich level at up 50, 60 points on the day. I think what you do is go through your usual game plan setup. Okay, if this is where I want to get in, where am I getting out when I'm wrong, and what am I looking for in the trade? Now, if you're selling the 106.70s, where you're getting out is a little bit tougher, because if we back out the chart a little bit, it gets a little bit cluttered here. So you really have to go back a little bit to find where the level is. And right now, you're looking at 108 as the next
I was going to say
old school resistance level.
And we've really spent no time in this 106 to 107.
So the resistance level is soft at this point. Shorts are challenged at this point. Have we moved a lot? Yes, almost 300 pips in a matter of days. That's a huge move. Is there a good sale here somewhere? There will be several good sales during the day, but you've got to define what good is. If you're willing to take 30, 35 points on the pips on the scalp, it's a good sale. If you're looking for 100, that's going to be a tougher tactical trade to sit through.
I was going to say, because you're looking at we're looking at the hourly chart. You're looking at week to date. Here's the the Friday close, Sunday open. We're sitting up 3%.
Yeah.
And just looking at the color of these candles, you haven't really gotten any reprieve. But yeah, to your point, you kind of got to look maybe just this week alone at what pullbacks look like.
Yeah.
Kind of the velocity of it. Of course, this could all deflate in minutes, hours. But looking at what has happened, you're right. You are only getting 20 to 30 pips on these pullbacks each time, and very hard. It's been very hard so far to pick where that level is, because
and if you go through the exercise, well, that's not right. That's not fair. That's what the market's giving you. So you've got to accept that. Okay, well, am I at a point where I'm willing to risk one to make one? So I'm going to. If I sold the 106.80s and 107 hadn't printed yet, I'm going to be buying a new high, a new weekly high, a 3% high.
Yep.
That's going to feel like, why in the world am I buying this? But that is why we stay disciplined, so we can come back in and continue to trade and don't get stuck on one side of the market. Or we widen out our expectations, shorten our size. We're running really tight on time. Are we going to be able to get to the slides?
No,
Okay.
Just wanted to call out, zooming out on what's in store for this euro-dollar market. We do have...
Yeah, let's run through that.
We have today, we got, at 7, here in a couple minutes, we have Commerce Secretary Lutnick speaking that might redact or change some of these tariffs that have just come in place. In 2 hours, we have services PMI out of the U.S., but the big event for Euro area will be this ECB rate decision tomorrow.
Right.
But as we've seen so far this week, a lot of U.S. Unexpected news. We just want to call out before we wrap up here, if you are looking for Euro exposure, this Euro-Yen market takes out that U.S. dollar risk. Yep. That's been moving here, looking at the hourly chart. You called it out on Monday, and we haven't stopped since. So that one is an interesting one as well.
You know, if you want the tariff trade, you've got it in Canada. You've got it in every dollar pair. If you want it, this is what I love about FX. You don't have to go out and build this. Mm-hmm. It's there for you. You can, and what's great is, if you bring up the deal ticket, Glenn, now you're trading in a non-dollar pair. The good news is the platform does all the math for you. So it computes exactly what the margin you need is, you setting your stops, setting your limits, all that calculation is done for you. Even though you're trading a non-dollar pair, all the math is done. So you shouldn't feel this is another jump in complexity because I don't have a dollar. The dollar isn't the base currency or the quote currency. The market is a pip and a quarter wide, 1.2, which is pretty tight. And you can very easily construct this trade. And we talk about, be non-denominational around product. This is great. We're not going to take you down the rabbit hole of Turkish lira or Israeli shekel, which are products you can
We're still
trade,
there.
and they're fine currencies. Markets are wide. Markets are volatile. Guys trade them for very specific reasons. A lot of carry trade and stuff like that. For the retail trader looking for trading opportunity throughout these dollar majors and the corresponding non-dollar major pairs, there's lots of opportunity, and we'll continue to explore that on Forex Focus.
Yep. Great week so far. Great week ahead. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. Up next, we've got Tom, Tony, and Vanetta. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys.